and Kimberly is here. And for some reason, this live was scheduled at 1 p.m. I do not know why. It could have been just my brain not working correctly. That happens. And then YouTube also does crazy things sometimes. So who knows? But hopefully some people will hop on and not be here waiting at 1 p.m.
Oh gosh,
1 p.m. Pacific.
Wouldn't that be just so irritating for them?
Yeah, seriously. Blaze and Kimberly, if you can hear us, let us know. Oh, and was it Jack?
Yeah, Jack, because it's Jacqueline.
Yes, Jack is here. Kimberly says good morning. All right, we're here. And yeah, we might not get as many people because it was scheduled funny. Oh, well, a few more people have hopped on. That's cool.
That jumped. It's good to see you too, Blaze. Hi, Shirley.
Okay, good. They can hear and see us fine. That's always wonderful.
Thank you, Kimberly.
I am a little bit concerned that I'm going to anger the coffee gods again.
What did you do? What did you do?
I just brought electrolytes. Okay, so here's the story. I had to go get my blood drawn this morning. I had to get my blood drawn this morning to check ferritin again. And so, you have to do that fasted. So I went in, did it, fasted, and then of course the first stop after is Starbucks. So I got like a grande coffee and I drank that like an hour ago. And I'm like, coffee doesn't sound very good right now. So
that's blasphemy in my world. Of course coffee sounds good. It always sounds good. Oh my goodness.
Well,
fear not. I have drunk plenty of coffee for the both of us, and I continue to do so with my cup of black coffee.
You can get 2 cups of coffee just to like balance it out. One in each hand, one for me.
Don't tempt me.
I did drink my coffee this morning. So hopefully, just because it was earlier counts for something.
Listen, I have to take vitamin C throughout the entire day. That vitamin coffee isn't going to consume itself.
There you go. You're drinking Element. Oh yeah, and Lindsay, you can have Blaze's share of coffee as well.
I will bear that burden with strength and dignity, unprecedented.
I believe in you. I believe in you. Yeah, I'm drinking my Element as well. I've got raspberry this morning.
So out of all of the flavors, raspberry was my first favorite. But as time has progressed, the lemon habanero and the mango chili, I love the punch to my mouth. I'm living for those.
Yeah. The raspberry was also my initial favorite, but citrus salt is kind of moving up on it. It just tastes like lemonade to me. Like the sour punch to it is just so good.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest with you, I have yet to meet a flavor that I've not enjoyed except for unflavored, because that's aggressive.
Yeah. I respect the people that drink that. I am not one of them.
Right. I mean, like if I'm putting it in something else, like if there's some other flavor profile that I've got going on and I want to boost my electrolytes, unflavored is a great way to go. Yeah. But when it's like, okay, here's my plain water, I'm just going to dump a packet in, it's not going to be unflavored.
No. So when I first started to learn about the importance of electrolytes, I was like, I think I really should try that. But I was, not at the place where I could go and order, and there weren't as many options that I was aware of at least. And so I just did the DIY snake juice recipe.
Kind of like Soleil water or...
Yeah, and you put in like the no salt that's potassium and baking soda and Epsom salt or whatever. And oh my gosh, I tried, but it was so horrible. It was like drinking ocean water. And it was one of those things where, and I've talked about this on like videos about electrolytes, but it's just like, I have to have it to be at least neutral for me to be motivated to continue to do it. I guess I'm not disciplined enough to do these horrible things that are supposed to be good for me. It has to at least be pleasant. And so for me, like spending the money on the electrolytes it's
Money
worth
well
it because it actually enhances, the enjoyment of life for me. And
Well,
this video is not sponsored by Element or Electrolytes in any way. We're just talking about them.
that's just what we like.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, I have to find some sort of value added. So if it is something that I don't enjoy, but I know it's adding value to my life, I can pretty much muscle through the majority of things for a period of time. But I can't
That's
do it indefinitely without there being some sort of additional value added. Like just doing the thing because it's the healthy thing or what's best is not strong enough to carry me forever on
yeah.
that track. Now,
Yes.
so having the stevia in there, having the flavor added, or like when I would do my own keto aid, putting cayenne pepper in it made it more addictive for me. And so I would do it more often. And it was
Mhm.
just like some sort of draw to it. I need some sort of external draw for me
Yes.
to want to do it other than like just saying in my brain, this is right, this is good, because I always go
Right.
against the stream. I'm a salmon. I like to swim uphill or upriver until I die. So
Mhm.
I have to have
Mhm.
something greater to overcome that rebelliousness in me.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing with me and carnivore. Like I feel good physically when
Mhm.
I eat carnivore, but I don't enjoy it. So I can muscle through
Yeah,
it for a couple of weeks or for 30 days if I really want to reset, like I did here at the beginning of January.
right.
But just I have to have it. I have to have my lifestyle something that I look forward to and it's not draining. Like I
Yeah.
feel like always eating things that you're not super excited about, like just maintaining a diet that's really boring to you, whatever that is. Some people aren't bored by the carnivore diet.
Sure.
But for me, like just eating steak and eggs and even bacon, like it's draining on me in a way, if that makes
And,
sense. And it's
and
like I
more
get
of
to the point
an
where it's just
emotional
like
way.
I just can't. I need to have some enjoyment in the
Yeah.
food that I'm eating. And it's
Yeah.
weird because it's like as soon as I add like a pile of sauteed cabbage with my steak, I enjoy the steak so much more. Or like, a sprinkle of blue cheese or something. And it's like, I don't know, there's something about the enjoyment of it that just makes it's hard to explain. It just takes away some stress and
Yeah.
makes me feel more relaxed. It's yeah. And some people would just say that I don't have self-control and I just haven't done it long enough. And if I do it long enough, I'll start craving it and it'll be like I'm whatever.
Magically
That's
transform.
great. That's great. I'm not that evolved of a person, I guess.
Well, and yesterday you did your live, and in part of that, you had talked about, having a more ketovore kind of a way just seems to work more with your values or with your personality or the way that you operate in general. And I think that knowing those real parameters, working within those is one of the values of going through these experiences and saying, I do want to enjoy life. I don't just eat to live and I
Right.
don't just live to eat. There's some sort of spectrum there, and I can fall in one category or one at one point on that spectrum for this season, and then I can migrate a little bit over to here for the season, and I have the flexibility and the capacity to operate within that spectrum without going overboard when it comes to just like, oh, well, instead of just doing the best thing ever, I'm going to do the worst thing ever, like just shoving processed oils
Right.
and sugar down my gullet.
Right.
You can definitely figure out where you want to be or where you feel in control and where you feel satisfied and you feel like your emotional needs are also being met along with your
Yeah.
physiological needs. Like it
Yeah.
all works together, and flexibility is probably the thing I think has been the most valuable skill that I've learned since starting back in 2016.
I absolutely agree. And I think I used to when I struggled more. I don't know. I wouldn't say necessarily that I had an eating disorder, but I struggled more with the pendulum swing of,
Yeah.
binge and purge. And that was fueled by all kinds of things. For example, not nourishing my body correctly. So my body was sending signals and so forth. But I feel like I've grown from that, and I don't have to treat myself like I'm still at that place of
Mm.
dysfunction with
Yeah.
food. And I feel like in the diet realm, um, people want to treat everyone like they have that disordered eating. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of similar to me to someone who has broken their leg saying everyone needs to do physical therapy the way I do physical therapy. And you're like, well, no, if you have two functioning legs, then you can exercise in a different way.
Yeah.
And not that the physical therapy for someone who has broken their leg is not valuable. It's absolutely what that person needs.
Yeah.
But just to say, because I have broken my leg and my body is not functioning the way it's supposed to, therefore everyone has to, and everyone else must be in the same boat. That's where it gets a little tricky. And so it's taken me a while to kind of weed through that, because that message is so prevalent. Like it's like you're a sugar addict, and sugar addicts is just like alcohol, where you just have to have complete abstinence and never touch it, never touch anything that even resembles it. I have people telling me that my recipes for egg white pizza is bad because it resembles a bad food. And I'm like, yeah, if that triggers you, and if you take a bite of that pizza and it makes you go binge on Totino's pizza rolls, then sure, that's bad for you.
That's
But
bad for everybody.
but I don't. Like, that's not where I'm at. So why would it be bad for me to eat something that looks like a regular bad food pizza when I don't have that response? And I understand that people, they want to have a message that is applicable to everyone. And so as far as they have to go to get to as big of a group as they can. And that is abstinence. Because it gets a whole lot trickier the farther you get from that. When you're trying to figure out like what works for you as an individual person, you can't just preach a message to the world that encompasses all those people. You have to go to the person that's the most messed up and preach, and then say that applies to everybody.
Yeah.
So that was a rant.
Well, and it's hard because people really want answers. They really want success. They really want transformation, but sometimes the waters of effort get muddied with, well, I have to actually try. I have to be consistent. I have to continue to do these things. I have to really stop and think through, did that food help me, hurt me, or was it a neutral food? You really have to be self-aware enough to decide good, bad, indifferent without turning into a navel gazer where all you do is just like overanalyze every twinge or every time you get a speck of dust in your eye. It's a tricky thing to do, and I think in our society we are constantly speeding things up. So when something takes time and a longer amount of effort and energy to focus on it, we struggle with that. And it's easier to say, okay, all people do this extreme on the spectrum. Or else the only other alternative is that extreme on this side of the spectrum. There's no such thing as gray, because if it's not black and white, then it means we have to try harder or we have to be more present in order to figure that out. But we've got 11 billion things going on in the background. We can't just sit there and figure things out right now. So I'll just go with an extreme version to simplify the process. But in simple, we wind up wrecking ourselves in other ways.
Right. And I do think that, and I think I've been at this place before where my body was in a state of whatever you want to call it, being addicted to sugar,
Sure.
or metabolic dysfunction or what
Mhm.
have you, that it was such a hurdle to overcome those physical cravings
Yeah.
that it was like I had to make it black and white in my own head and
Mhm.
say, these foods are bad and I should never eat them ever. Because if there was any kind of a permission of maybe someday I'll get to eat those, it would be enough to cause me to go back to them. I had
Yeah.
to like make it a religion where
Yeah.
in order to just get over that hump. So I
Mhm.
understand like the natural tendency to do that, and I think it can be helpful for some people
Mhm.
to get past that place. But what
Yeah.
I found with my own journey is that I was able to get past it. I didn't have to live in it forever.
Yeah.
Not that anyone else has to follow the same path that I did. If you want to live in it forever, I mean
Yeah.
that's
Make that
totally the
choice
choice.
and
Yeah,
yeah, allow
I think of Kelly Hogan that way. Like she made her choice, for the carnivore diet, and she is happy and fulfilled, and she has a social life, and like she has made it work with her family and her circumstance. It's like there's
yeah,
no reason, like no way that I would tell her ever to change.
right.
And I don't think that she would tell me I have to change. It's like you find what works. And but
Right.
like I found that I don't have to live in that place of I have to swear off these everything in
And then
order to stay
evangelize that.
clean. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a recovering alcoholic that can never touch a drop of alcohol again. That's not how my body is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's even alcoholics, there are some people that have struggled with alcohol in the past and now can drink alcohol occasionally and not have a problem. But
Sure.
then there are others who can't. So it's just, yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just not a one size fits all thing.
Right. Well, and sometimes I find if I am not strong enough a in a choice that I've made and I need support, like that community aspect of it, I have to go sometimes and demonize the thing that I need support in
Yeah.
abstaining from so that I convince and convert others. I haven't done that in years now. And nowadays it's
Been
more like
there.
this is just what I do and I'm going to do it and people can question it, but I have solidified in my resolve, I guess, to doing the things that I know make me feel well and abstaining from the things that make me feel not well. And I don't have to go through and have everybody else's buy in so that
Yeah.
I stay strong. My
Right.
husband, I, when we were in Sicily, it was one of those things where I could have the little like crostini breads when we would have charcuterie or something like that. I wasn't ever enticed to do pasta. I was never enticed to do a lot of the high carby things in general. But when it came to charcuterie, I was like, you know what? There's a small volume of bread on this platter. I'm not going to overeat it because there's a limited volume and I'm only going to have a tiny bit of it. And my husband didn't have to sit there and say, "Oh, but you know what you've said in the past." He didn't have to hold me accountable to that because he knew at this stage of the game, I've got enough practice and enough uh, strength in exercising my muscles to say, you know what, I can have a little bit of this on this occasion, and I don't feel just trapped by those feelings of I
Right.
have to have more. But
Right.
I will say I have symptoms congruent with ADHD. And for ADHD people, having food, especially like sweets or the carby foods, giving us that hit of dopamine, we're always seeking that next hit in order to either distract or control those hyperactivity symptoms. And it can be a little bit more all or nothing. And
Mhm.
using the black and the white parameters can be very valuable. So having some awareness, like not the navel gazing, like I said earlier, but like having some sense
Right.
of self awareness to say, you know what, I have to be responsible for me, and that thing is not good for
Yeah.
me. Doesn't mean that I demonize it for somebody else. My parents were here. They were eating bread. They were having the pasta. They were doing the things. I'm not sitting there demonizing their choices
Right.
because their chemistry is not my chemistry.
Right.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, we really went down the road.
No, we did not plan this topic. I guess this is just
Sure
what was stirring in
bubbled
us.
up.
Yeah. I was gonna read. Gloria said, "I think you present so many wonderful ideas, and a person has to take responsibility for what works for them. If they have
Mhm.
an issue, move along and don't do it or eat whatever it may be." Yeah, it does come down to taking responsibility for yourself and deciding, like being self-aware, like you said, and knowing your limits, knowing what you can handle and what maybe you can't, depending on what stage you're in. There have
Yeah.
been stages where I knew that I couldn't take a bite of something, or I would be eating the whole bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not at that place anymore. Like this
Mhm.
past holiday season, like I had bites of things, and I don't think there was ever a point where I ate the whole bag of something, or I went beyond
Yeah.
what I
Committed
intended or
yourself.
wanted,
Mhm.
or felt like was good for me. But one other thing that I'm very aware of now, which I wasn't back at the beginning of my journey, is just how powerful certain foods and patterns of eating or states your body can be in, like how powerful that can be in
Mm.
influencing your eating habits. Like
Sure.
there was a time where I had been on a really restrictive diet, and I was legitimately like hungry. I was starving myself. And when I was in that state, I could eat half a jar of peanut butter. Like I could, like it was just it was like there was this drive in me where, like a craving, where I just couldn't stop, It's like I
Yeah.
would be like, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna weigh out my, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, I'm gonna eat that. And it was just like I couldn't stop. Now, if I even think about eating a half a jar of peanut butter, I'm like, oh, like
Yeah.
I I couldn't physically do it. Like there was something so different about my physical state at that point, that was a possibility, and actually something I almost couldn't control myself from doing, versus now where I don't think I could force myself to do it if I wanted to. And
Yeah.
so just being aware of how much these outside things affect our body and our decision making around food. And so, for example, if I do choose to eat off keto and I have carbs, or, an off meal, I am very much aware that after that, I need to take these signals from my body with a grain of salt.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I might choose to eat this meal, and then 4 hours later be like, "Ooh, that chocolate sounds really good right now."
And
And
the
I can
day's
be
already
like,
shot.
right, right. But now, because I know that that food that I ate before has these effects on me, I can speak truth to that craving and
Yes.
say, that is just a craving in response to the meal that I chose to eat before, which was fine.
Yep.
And I can choose to say, that's not good for me. And it's a lot easier to resist. When
Sure.
I wasn't aware of that those whole mechanisms,
Mhm.
um, it was like I have to listen to it. Like there was no other voice except the
Sure.
craving. And so it was like, if you don't, give in to this craving, everything is just going to get worse, or it's never
Yeah.
going to go away. But
Sure.
because I have this other voice of knowledge about
Mhm.
the way my body works, the way my body responds, and this experience of, oh, I've experienced this before where I ate a meal and then I had some cravings afterwards. And so because I know all of those things and I have that other voice, I can choose to listen to that. And it's a
Yeah.
lot easier to drown out the sound of the cravings. If that makes
Yes.
sense.
But that didn't happen overnight. That was
No.
a long
Yeah.
process of strengthening that muscle and then feeling weaker and strengthening it and then just constantly like progressively getting to that place. So if you're
Yeah.
out there and you do feel like that's an insurmountable like an unachievable place to be, it's not a linear just like straight up to success.
Exactly.
It's a back and forth. It's a two step. You're not going in one direction all the way.
Yeah. And like I understand people's desire to go very strict, especially when they're
Mhm.
coming from that place of dysfunction,
Sure.
because it's like you can just get rid of all of that noise immediately.
Yeah.
You don't have to work through it and figure it out. And and I understand that choice. And I've been at the place where I wanted to make that choice. And I thought that I was going to be carnivore forever. Um, because of how maddening it is to be stuck in that mental space with a body that's not giving you the
Cooperating.
messages that, yeah, not working properly, and just sending you all these messages that are messed up.
Hmm.
So I totally get that. And I would never, tell anyone that they were doing something wrong for choosing just to like silence everything immediately.
Yeah.
That is totally legitimate. Yeah.
It's good. It's
Yep.
good.
Um, Gary Water Streeter said that since he stopped eating like the Hostess and Little Debbie snack cakes, it has gotten easier to walk past them. So that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a muscle that you strengthen. It's like
Hmm.
at the very beginning, it can feel like this is impossible, you know,
Right.
and then after a few times, you're like, well, I'm not even thinking about it anymore.
Yeah.
I had an addiction at one point, which is so weird, but it was again during a time where I was really not nourishing my body well,
Mm.
and just trying to lose weight at all costs. And for whatever reason, I was addicted to yogurt, Greek yogurt. And it was like, and I know now that it was my body crying out for nutrition,
Yeah.
and like for whatever reason that's what my brain locked in on. And
Hmm.
was trying to like I was trying to go dairy free. I was trying to get back into paleo, and so I was trying to like cut out the dairy, and I could not even walk down the aisle of the grocery store that had the Greek yogurt in it. And I
That's some
remember at the
addictive
time thinking,
behavior.
this is so crazy. Like, what
Yeah.
is wrong with me? It is yogurt, and I can't stop myself from eating it. Like, what is wrong? Um, but I mean, obviously it was because I was undernourished.
Yeah.
And then but now it's like I can eat yogurt again, and I can walk down the aisle of the grocery store and not even
Be
think about
triggered.
it. Like not
Yeah.
even think about it. But I mean, that just kind of speaks to the power of your choices around food and how they can affect, I mean, even your brain and how your brain
Yeah.
functions.
Very much so. Very, very much so. Well, you said exercising the muscles uh of like being able to walk past things. But speaking of the exercise, that I was trying to segue that a little bit better, but
I saw you doing that.
the mental gymnastics were slowly fading. We had a
Yeah.
slumber party at my house on Sunday night, and we're still in recovery mode.
We had a
Um,
slumber party on Friday night as well. Yes. And so we are right there with you.
yeah,
We
half a
we dubbed
dozen.
the term sleepover hangover, or slumber party hangover.
That's
It's a
real.
real thing.
Oh, oh my stars. But so I was trying to do the mental gymnastics to get to the words and make a fun little clever segue to your exercise. And now we're going to talk about possibly like how exercise went for us this week for accountability's sake. But now I just want to talk about the sleepover hangover.
Yeah. Well, I will come clean and say I did not do anything this week except for our hike. I was all week. I was like, I could do this. I'll do it in the morning. And then my life, I feel like I'm running around with like a chicken with its head cut off. I'm just like, it's too
Yep.
much.
Yep. Okay.
And I'm sure
So,
yoga would make me feel better, but I just haven't been able to make it happen.
so I had tons of intentions, which are, nothing. And I did exactly 0 intentional workouts this week. I got some functional exercise because
Yeah.
we've got a whole pile of foam mattresses that we keep in big like mattress bags for when we have sleepovers here. So that way everybody's got a place to sleep. They're super fun to create like slides from the
Mhm.
furniture. And it's a good time, but they
Mhm.
require a lot of strength, effort, energy, etc., to manhandle them back into their, well, first to get them out of their bags and then back
Mhm.
into the bags and back
Mhm.
into their place for storage purposes. And they're floppy jalopy. I mean, like they're only, about 4 inches thick, but they are heavy and they are floppy. And I
Mhm.
am very much so I'm just gonna power through it person. So I definitely did get workouts done by pulling those out and putting them back, but it was nothing like what I expected myself or expected from myself for the week. I thought,
Mhm.
okay, my husband traveled a little bit, so there were certain things that I couldn't go to the gym to do, but I have the capacity here at my house to do some workout off of the YouTubes or do one of my exercise videos or I have the tools, I have the resources. I just left them locked in the toolbox this week.
Yep. Yep.
That's what I did. So
Well,
I
I'm
feel
glad to know I'm not alone.
you are not alone.
Oh.
It's it's so hard. And I tell you what, the sleepover hangover business, like that is so real. In fact, last night we put the girls to bed and I told them, okay, y'all were up until like 1:30 in the morning. That's going to wear on you. We're going to bed
Mhm.
at 7. And so my middle and my youngest, they were like, "Meh, I don't want to go to sleep." And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
have any preferences. I didn't, or not preferences. I don't have any weight given to your
Mhm.
preferences.
Mhm.
This is
Not an
not a
option.
voting scenario. This is what we're doing
Yep.
scenario. But my oldest, she managed like brushing teeth and all that mess. And I thought she was coming back out to the living room. And 20 minutes later, I look at my watch and I'm like, where did she go? I go into her room and she is zonked out.
Aw.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're not even the one who stayed up the latest. What? What is
Yeah.
happening?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I still feel very foggy. Um, but we're gonna keep moving forward. I find that
Yeah.
like whenever you're doing like international traveling, like
Jet
the
lag?
time differences can give you
Yeah.
some jet lag. I feel like I'm a little bit jet lagged, but it's that advice of
Sleep?
just like keep
Yeah.
pushing till true bedtime so that you can
You can
sleep.
just
But
sleep
then I'm also
well.
like,
Yeah.
sleep matters a lot. And I've been struggling a lot with sleep. So I'm sure that was a factor.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
okay. We're
It's
going to
gonna be
survive.
okay. We'll get through this. All right. So for this upcoming week, do we have any intentions?
I mean, we always have intentions.
Yes. Would you like to state your intentions?
No. Okay. So speaking of like discussing the intentions specifically regarding physical movement, I have not made um any line items for myself yet. However, on the nutritional side of things, I've been trying to do a little bit more carnivorous activities and trying to draw some of the veggies out because I think as I sleep more poorly, my desire for things like veggies or
Mhm.
fruit or keto treats increases exponentially. So I'm trying to pull
Yeah.
myself back and trying to eat some more fat in like animal fats this week.
Mhm.
Um, as for actual doing like actual exercise goals, I'm going to shoot for twice.
Okay.
I'm going to shoot for 2 times. We'll see how that goes. I'm already
Okay.
tired.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Okay, I'm gonna shoot for twice also again,
Mhm.
but if I only get once, I'll still consider it a
A win
success. Yeah.
because we'll
Like
still have moved forward
2 is
from
the
where we
stretch
are now.
goal. One is the goal, 2 is the stretch goal. Extra
Yes.
credit.
Yeah. And I almost feel like that's just the way it goes. Kind of like the whole like figuring out what works for your body nutritionally. You
Yeah.
like you make some progressive steps forward and then you kind of like jump back a few spaces
Yeah.
and then you keep working as long as you're constantly like being tenacious in your desire to keep moving forward and
Yeah.
you're
You
putting
keep
the effort
trying
in.
things.
Yeah, your muscles will get stronger in a
Yeah.
real
And
and
exercise is also an area where I have to enjoy it. And it has
mm,
to be something I look forward to, like the electrolytes.
yeah,
And I haven't found the thing that works with my lifestyle that I also really enjoy
yeah,
that help, and not that the enjoyment is the only thing that motivates me, but it's enough that it adds the motivation, you know?
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
you
haven't
gotta be able to say,
I
"I
haven't
can
found
put
that
this
yet.
on pause to do that."
Yeah.
Because it's
So
fun to cook. It's a lot less fun to
yeah.
sit there and wait. Well, and okay, honest to goodness, I get so bored so easily with everything. So if I'm
Yeah.
actively like with my hands in the kitchen, I'm always thinking about what I'm doing next. When I'm
Mhm.
doing some sort of a workout with an instructor just telling me the things, I
Mm.
get bored because I'm not having to mentally engage, I'm just having to
Mm.
physically engage. And so for me, sometimes that can be a little bit of a conflictual situation. Um,
Right.
it makes it hard. So it's like I want to constantly just like move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing, move on to the
Yeah.
next thing.
Yeah.
Looking for that
Well,
dopamine hit. It's gonna be
maybe
fine.
someday we'll get it figured out
I doubt it.
before we die.
Or we could just go on to glory and be happy.
That would be great too. That sounds really nice right now, actually.
I So this sleepover hangover, how long does it last? Because
Yeah.
honestly, the last
I
time we
think
had a sleepover, it wasn't this bad.
I imagine that the older you get, the longer the hangover lasts.
Well, and the last time we had a sleepover, there was only one friend hanging out. And this
God,
time around, there were three
that
extra
makes me nervous.
friends. And I'm one of those people who is very meticulous about we need to have very clear parameters for sleepovers. Like, I don't ever want anybody to feel like they're not being, accommodated well. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, I am involved. And
Yeah,
usually I'm a very independent person. I move about the cabin freely.
yeah,
But whenever it's like a whole bunch of children just like all around the house, I need to keep tabs on everybody, make sure
yeah.
everything is happening. And I become like a helicopter parent that
Oh,
I don't want to be, but I'm like, oh, okay. Are y'all ready for some snack? Are y'all ready for this?
mhm.
Or ooh, you want to build a fort and you're struggling. Like we had the big girls over on one side building their fort, and then the middle girls were struggling to build their fort, and they were getting all like, "Ah,"
Mhm.
and I was like, I'm really good at forts. So I had to fully involve myself in fort
Yeah,
making. And I'm like, with six of them. Like,
exactly.
I love the fact that I have three daughters. I cannot fathom going beyond that at all.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I've been thrust into the helicopter parent thing with the new puppy.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you have to always be aware. Someone has to be on him. When's the last time we went to the bathroom? And, like, yeah.
Puppy
So
patrol is an exhausting task.
yeah, and it doesn't end. It's kind of like the newborn where you just plow through it, and eventually you look back and you're like, oh yeah,
We
we
did
got
that.
through that, but we're not through it yet.
Yeah.
So that's just another thing on top of everything else.
It's fine.
It's
We're all
fine.
fine.
We're
Everything
all
is
good.
fine.
We're all good.
Nothing's on fire. We're good.
And then I have several videos that I have filmed, and I just have not found the moment to sit down. I'm like, it's gonna be like 2 weeks lag before I get these videos up.
Well, and you take the footage and then your brain is like, okay, well, I've done the thing. So why
Yeah,
revisit the thing? I've
yeah,
done
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But now you
It's
revisit it.
extra
And
exhausting.
yeah. I am slightly jealous of your backlog of footage because I've not been able to
Yeah.
pick up the camera this week at all. And I'm like, I really want to
No.
make this thing. I really want to do that thing. I really want to be here and do this and talk about that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I I'm walking in a
Can't find
fog
the
right
time.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, see, everybody, we're real people.
We are. It's
We
crazy.
don't we don't live in a YouTube studio where we just get to write scripts and film
Oh,
videos all day. Can you imagine?
I would
I've
hate to
I've
have to
had to
read off script or on
yeah, that wouldn't be fun. I've dreamt of like having a separate cabin on the property where I
like
could
Reed
just
Drummond.
I could just walk. Yeah. I could just walk out there and like the kitchen would be clean and I would just film a cooking video and everyone would stay in the house and I wouldn't be able to hear them
Yeah.
or see them and I would be
Or be
alone in the
distracted.
house filming a cooking video. Oh, that would be so amazing.
Yeah, when we
One
bought
day.
this house, with it having like the main level has, my kitchen, my big kitchen, and then the
Mhm.
basement has the little kitchenette. I was
Right.
thinking to myself when we first bought the house, I was like, I can go and get myself an induction plate and fully
Mhm.
outfit the basement kitchen, and I can film down there, and I can have my studio, like some studio lights hanging at all times, and I can make this work.
Mhm.
No, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, no.
Donna says a she shack. That's what I need.
That's
A
what
she
you need.
shack. Yeah.
But then you
That
gotta be the one to clean it.
and it would be fine if it was just a kitchen.
Yeah.
Maybe with one sitting chair.
One sitting chair and one stool, maybe.
Yeah. There you go. And a kitchen. A nice kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With good counter space,
Let's
some
do it.
overhead angle opportunities.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh.
It could be glorious. Oh,
Reese's,
and it could be
Reese's
like
here,
glass.
Oh yeah.
That way all the natural light could be in there, but you could have like scrims
Yeah.
that come down to sort of like block the harshness. Oh, look at us. We're already designing the she shed.
All right.
It's great.
Let's get our husbands on it.
It
Yeah, ever since we moved in here where we have 2 skylights, I can't imagine trying to film without the natural light anymore. Like it's just so nice.
Yeah, for mine, like this room right here, I know y'all have probably seen it this whole live, but like the light comes in and I look
Mhm.
very much so like I'm in the summertime, and then it goes away and I look more like my natural color, which is much
Yes.
pinker and less orangey. And my kitchen is like that too, where
Uh,
like the light will come into certain spots and it's like blindingly bright, but then other places it's just like cavernously dark. And I'm like, this is not working for me. How do we
yeah.
solve this problem? Oh,
Yeah.
well, it takes more effort than what I've got the time to put into it right now. We're just going to
Yeah.
put a pin in it and go with less than desirable lighting.
Yeah, that's I have gotten to that point with my YouTube where it's like you try to improve, filming and editing and lighting and stuff like that, and you get to the point where you just can't add any more unless you add a film crew.
Yeah.
And as
Or
long
an
as you're the
editing
one,
crew.
yes, as long as you're the one doing it all, there's a point at which you're just like,
That's it.
it's not going to get any better, at least, not from things that are time consuming.
Yeah.
There are like different skills that you pick up that make it better that don't take more time from you, but
Sure.
as far as the time suck things, it's like you're one person, you can't move past that.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm okay with that because I'm more about, real life than some studio production
Well,
because
and
I can't do that. So why stress
yeah.
myself out trying to?
And I know that there are loads of people out there that do have support, not just like, oh, I support you in this thing, I will give you the space to do this, but like, here, what can I do to help you do the things?
Right.
And I'm very content to be a one woman show
Yeah.
because it's my hobby and I do like having it as sort of a separate outlet for me where I don't need someone else to come in and be like, okay, now I'm wasting somebody else's time if
Yeah.
I'm like, sitting there fussing with where the camera needs to be or whatever, if I need to grab more ingredients or whatever the case is. I'm not taking up somebody else's precious resources for my thing. But I can also see the value in, somebody else taking the camera and while you're cooking something, being able to come in and see what you're doing or pull back or whatever the case is. Like there's
Yeah.
value on both sides of that conundrum, but
Yeah.
there's also a lot of drawbacks on both sides
Yeah.
too. So I'm perfectly content to be mediocre at best at
Yeah.
this stage of the game.
Same. Yeah. Yep. Well, we are coming in on 45 minutes.
Yeah, we
So,
are.
yeah.
Let's see. We've missed a lot of
Mhm.
hellos from people.
Yes. Yes.
So
Oh, Naz is here. Naz has been following me for I don't know how many years. like so many. We
Very
finally
cool.
made alive.
That's
Yep. And Carol from Florida. Yeah, Philippe from France.
really pause a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yes.
Bonjour,
Yeah.
Philippe.
Oh, Jack.
And Jack, you with your ADHD things, like I feel that if you're still here, I feel that very much. I'm not clinically diagnosed with ADHD, which is why I always say that my symptoms are congruent with ADHD rather than like I have ADHD because I don't have a diagnosis. So I think that that's kind of unfair to people who do have a diagnosis to say like, "Oh, this is what it is."
Right, right. Jonah said she's staying with her son. Countertops are limited. Oh man, trying to work in a kitchen where countertops are limited is just the worst. Yeah, kitchen block is nice if you have
Mhm.
space for it.
I saw the coolest idea for a kitchen where it was like your regular counter and you have your regular kitchen cabinet, but you built it slightly small, like shorter than the actual counter so that it could be on casters and be pulled out as an additional like, and you have a countertop space on top.
Huh.
And I thought, that is brilliant. As long as nobody tried to shove anything into that little cavity where the
Yeah.
cabinet pulled out.
Huh.
Like you could roll it back into its spot, roll it out for a little bit of extra space, put
Yeah,
it back. I was like, that is brilliant. I
that
wish
is.
that would have been a thought whenever I had, some of my smaller kitchens that I've been in.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, yeah. Did we talk about all the things?
I think we did. The only other
Oh,
thing that I have to share with you is in Neely and I have a Marco Polo where we talk back and forth sometimes, and I shared with you my cinnamon tree. And I've got trees back here, and I'm slowly, constantly adding to my indoor plant collection because I am determined to be a plant person. Like I'm determined. And I showed you a tree, my cinnamon tree, that was slowly like giving me mixed signals. It was looking overwatered with too pale of leaves, and then it was looking underwatered because it was all dry and crunchy. Well, I got to show you. Oh, I can't zoom, can I? Oh, there we go. So there it is. I figured out what is wrong with it.
Okay.
It has blight.
No.
And because it has gone so long with blight without me knowing it, every single leaf has been affected and
Oh,
it is officially gone.
oh,
There's
how
no
sad.
salvaging it. So
Oh
I'm
man.
so sad. Ugh,
Yeah.
you can't win them all.
Blight is just such a terrible word.
It
Just
is.
awful.
And now I need to probably take it apart, or not take it apart, but like unpot it, depot it, chop it up into a few pieces, and then go burn it in the
Mm,
fire pit
yeah, so
because
it
you
doesn't
can't just
spread
like,
anything.
I don't want to spread disease. And I'm a little bit nervous because I have a fiddle leaf fig right next to it. And I'm
Mm,
like, is this going to be affected? Like, is it
yeah,
moving from plant to plant? But I
right.
also pine trees. They're like the little mini Christmas trees that
Mhm.
I am super jazzed about. So I got a new one of those, and you know, just thought I'd share that little random tidbit of
Oh.
information because I don't know, I've been staring at that thing this whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's
I have
great.
an answer, and it's not the one I wanted, but at least
Oh,
it's an
no,
answer.
that's terrible. Well, but now you know the signs to look for, I guess.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Blaze is asking how the puppy is doing. Bubbles is doing great. He
Oh, it's no bubbles, not just bubs. We're going full
yeah,
blown.
well, we call him Bubbles, Bubs, Bubba, Bubberton, Bubber. I call him Bubber a lot, actually.
That's adorable.
Yeah. But
Clever.
he's doing so good. He's so stinking smart and he's catching on to housebreaking so well. Like he'll still have an accident occasionally, but we've gone, full 24, 48 hours without an accident, which I think for having him only 2 weeks, like that's great. Like,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I'm no expert, but very, very happy. And then he's been sleeping with Talia and only getting her up. He'll sleep like a 6 to 8 hour stretch oftentimes.
Wow.
So, I mean, as far as a puppy goes, like he's about as good as you're gonna get.
That's awesome.
He's still a puppy. He's still, we'll get into things and want to chew stuff that's not his and stuff. But I mean, that's just puppy life. So I always, whenever I talk about like my babies and newborn stage and stuff, people will say, "Oh, they're so easy." The same thing with like labor and delivery. Like, "Oh, you have such easy labors," and I'm like, okay, I understand on the spectrum of how difficult it can be. Sure, maybe it's farther to one end than the other, but you can never classify labor as easy. Like, it's
Agreed.
just, that's not the word. That's just not the word. So similar, not the same, but similar with puppies. It's like, yeah, he's a good puppy and he's easy, but he's still a puppy and it still takes a lot of work. So he's great. Still a lot of work. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's doing so well.
Yeah. Like the tasks are not exactly super hyper involved. You're not doing calculus to take care of him, but you still have to get up and go.
Well, and then like what we were talking about, like just having it always something you have to be on top of. There's like no like clocking off. It's just, and so that can be kind of draining where you just like, I have to always be aware and always be on top of it. Even though he's doing so well, I still have to be on top of it. Otherwise it will very quickly go in the other direction.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Indeed.
Yep. No such thing as an easy labor. Yes. I just don't think that word should be stricken from describing having a baby, period. Any part of having a baby.
And the word labor itself implies work.
It's hard. Like if it was easy, it wouldn't be labor.
That's right. It would just be birthing.
Yeah. So I'm fine with talking about a spectrum. So some people have way more traumatic births than others. That's fine. And I respect that. But to say easy is just disrespect. I remember right after Autumn was born, so my very first, I was, laying there and it was an easy labor comparatively, especially for a first child. And I remember the nurse, she looks at me and she's like, "You were just made for having babies." And I remember being so angry. I didn't say anything, but I just remember like, how dare you imply that what I just went through was easy? Like that was the most difficult thing I have ever done in my entire life. And you're saying it's easy? No. I understand what she was saying and I'm not mad at her or anything. But in that moment, I just remember being like, how dare you?
That was the wrong thing to say to an immediately postpartum woman.
Oh my God.
You win.
Yeah.
You're wrong. Well, my sister-in-law, she loved being pregnant. She loved labor. As soon as labor was done, she was happy to go ahead and be like, when are we trying for the next one? For me, my body, it was an uphill climb for every step of the way. And I would never trade it for the world because I wound up with 3 amazing twins. But also it's not something that I would like sit there and be like, "Oh, I just had my belly sliced open again. I am so excited to get to do that another time."
Yes. Yeah, there was always like a really big mental and emotional thing I had to go through in order to say, I'm ready to do this, and yeah. Which I think that's probably normal. Like, for something that intense and huge.
Well, you're bringing forth an entire life.
That you're going to be responsible for your entire life, or for your entire life, whichever comes first.
Right. That's a massive, massive
really
thing to wrap your brain around.
Yeah. It's something that I don't take lightly. No. And when I was done, I knew I was done. And I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I don't need any more. I'm good. I'll wait for grandkids.
The limit does exist.
It does, at least for me.
It did for me too.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay. So exercise stretch goal 2 times per week or 2 times this week because we're taking things in 1 week chunks.
1 week.
One
That's
time.
That's all I can do. I have no idea what 2 weeks from now is going to be like.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
1 time is success. 2 times stretch goal.
Yeah.
We got this.
Yep. Cut off at 3. Oh, is that 3 kids?
How many kids?
Donna? Yeah. Yep. Blow a big bubble every time you had a contraction. That's hilarious. It's a good visual though.
Yeah. I didn't have the opportunity to do contractions more than twice. So
yeah. For me, as soon as contractions were painful, I was pushing out a baby. So I had lots of contractions, like for the 6 weeks before labor.
Yeah.
But they were not painful. But they were working. And so by the time I was ready to actually have the baby, it came very fast and very intense.
Yeah. I only went into labor naturally, like on my own 1 time, and it was like too soon. Because where I was, we had to have, like, I needed a repeat C-section. And after knowing what I knew about my physiology for birthing babies, I wanted the repeat C-section. There was no way I was going to go through the experience again when my pelvic bones would not actually separate to allow a child through. So it was a physiological reason I wanted it, not a vanity reason. And I lived in a state where the level of care was much smaller than other major areas. So they would only do repeat C-sections, not VBACs or vaginal birth after C-section. So I was very pleased to know those things. And they scheduled you at 39 weeks so that you would mitigate the chances of going into natural labor. That is not the way that happened. I went into labor at like 2 a.m. or no, it was midnight. It was midnight. A week before my actual scheduled C-section. No, it wasn't a week. I'm so sorry. It was a couple days before my scheduled C-section on my oldest's birthday. So I was like, oh, well, I guess we're doing this. So that was exciting for another 12-hour labor to add on.
Were you able to do the C-section with that one, or did you do a VBAC?
No, they did. They actually, my husband thought that they were just going to stop labor, like give me some magnesium drips and try to like stop labor and wait till my actual scheduled time. But my OB came in and he said, yeah, so we're going to scrub up the OR for you and we're going to have this baby today. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? It's my oldest's birthday today. We're not doing that. No. And he said, right, we're doing this today.
Yeah.
We have so many logistics to figure out now.
Don't push it. Literally.
Literally. But it was, I liked the story aspect of it on the backside. Like after having lived through the things, it's one of those things where it's like, that is a wild story. I never would have imagined that's the way it would have come to fruition, but wow, look at that. It's just one of those things where I'm like, that's, kind of an entertaining story for me. I don't know. I like stories. I like stories.
Yes. And we could probably talk for another hour about labor and delivery stories. It's so fun. Maybe we should make that next week's topic.
Maybe. Yes. Thank you, Blaze. If you are here and you have not hit the like button, we would greatly appreciate it if you would do so. Oh,
if you liked it. If you didn't like it, that's fine.
If you didn't like it, double click it. But double click the thumbs down button.
Yes,
that's how that. But also, Nili, you just had your live stream yesterday with
Robin.
Robin. That was not the name I was coming to. About Ketocon, where we are going to be.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So
come join us at Ketocon 2023.
We're going to be at Ketocon. We're super jazzed. We finally get to meet in real life person instead of through a little bitty box with
we can have coffee together, actually together, drinking coffee together. It's going to be so great.
I might have to double fist the coffee just for catching up as much as I can. But you have a discount code.
Indigo
tickets. So
$50 off.
You'll put that down there because I'm so jazzed about getting to come. I'm so jazzed.
I'm looking forward to it. When we first, got tickets and were planning to do it, it felt like it was so far away.
Right?
Just like
It still feels
I'm like,
like far away.
but it's
Not.
this year. Like we're in the year that it's gonna happen. And I feel like it's gonna come really quickly. Before I was just like, I can't get so excited about it because it's like 6 months away.
Right. I
But
can't
now I'm
expend
like,
all the
it's coming,
energy
it's coming.
yet.
Yeah, yeah.
It's coming.
So
It's
and
coming fast.
the ticket prices will be going up again at the beginning of February. So the earlier you can get tickets, the cheaper they're gonna be.
That's right. I
End of
actually
the
bought my
year,
tickets back
2.5.
in October because I was like, the price
Such
is
a good
what?
deal. I
What?
can't believe they can do it
I
for that
can
cheap.
survive off of that. That's
I mean, I
crazy.
guess a lot of people buy them later and they're more expensive, so maybe that's the reason they can have them cheap for the early birds, but
Maybe
they're
so.
offering them for that price, then take advantage if you can.
Oh man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so excited though. All right. I got nothing else.
All right, we hit an hour.
Ooh,
Uh,
very cool.
wait, what? Oh, the mango chili. New Mexico nurse was saying the mango chili is her favorite of the element, and then Jonna said add it to chili.
Huge chili. Huh.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, Blaze, booking the hotel ASAP. We booked ours
Yeah.
back in October when we bought our tickets. Um,
Mhm.
so we're solid. We got this. But for those of you who are going to come and are still like trying to sort out your plans, definitely
Yes.
make them sooner rather than later because yikes.
And
Things
Ketocon has negotiated some discounts with some hotels. So go to the Ketocon website and see their list of hotels and see if there's a good deal there.
yes.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. And we made it through, even though I didn't have any coffee in my hand. I'm glad that we didn't anger the coffee gods too bad.
But next week you had
The
better
element
have
is enough to
coffee.
keep them happy. What did you say next week?
You better have coffee.
I will. I can't
I mean, like,
push it.
even if you don't actually drink from the mug of coffee,
I
you
just
gotta
have
have
to
it there.
hold it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of holding mugs.
I know, isn't it
Isn't that
precious?
awesome? They're so cute.
I will say though, when I first made my cup of coffee in that cup, I was like, oh, it's so small.
Yeah.
Who drinks this little amount of coffee?
Oh, that's funny. Well, on the collagen barista blend, it
Yeah.
says using 6 to 8 ounces of coffee, and I was like, why would you only drink 6 to 8 ounces of coffee? That seems weird.
Who is doing this? Is this a like espresso shots? We're doing
Is
6 ounces
this
of
for
espresso
children? Like
shots.
the child size? I don't know.
Well, my girls, they saw that mug and they were like, ooh, for us? And I was like, don't touch.
Yeah, this is
Even
mine.
though I'm never going to drink that small of a volume of coffee, don't touch my mug. That's
Yeah,
mine. That
yeah.
is mine. Although I will say like the handle is a little bit thin for my preferences and it doesn't fit too well down in my cup holders in my car.
Oh. I think
So,
I got one of those inserts that
oh,
you can add
my
to your cup holders, and so it has like a
little
little
jig.
gap for the handle, and I love it. It's great. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it'll fit in mine. But anyways,
nice.
I wonder if they're selling these on their website. I haven't seen them, but
I don't
it'd be
know.
fun to see
I didn't
if they
see them
started
either.
selling the swag.
I didn't see them at all on the website. Mine's currently on the drying mat over there.
Nice, nice. Yep.
And yes, Blaze, I am a Texan all the way to deep in my heart
Bigger is
because,
better.
but biggest is best. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Let's see.
Although Alaska gets to hold that one. And I think if I could have been born in any other state, Alaska or Wyoming would have been one of the two because
Mm,
Alaska's the biggest and the
it's
coldest.
true. True. All right.
Okay. I think we
We're gonna
should
just
call
keep
it.
talking all day. All
We
right.
could.
We could. Yeah. We will at KetoCon.
Which is why I'm so glad that Robin said that the or the videos were going to be recorded so we could catch
Oh
all of the
yeah.
discussions that we miss.
Yeah. I think you have to do you have to purchase
I don't know,
the
but
recordings? I think you might.
even if I have to buy those, I will still
Do it.
probably get them
We'll do it.
because time
Yeah.
is limited.
Yeah. And it's like, you can watch the talks later. You can't
That's
hang
right.
out with people later.
You sure can't. You
So
can't. That's
priorities,
not the way
priorities.
it works.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. See you
Bye.
next
We'll see
week
you next
on
week.
Lindsay's channel.
Yep.
Don't forget to, you try to schedule better than I did with the timing.
I'll try, but I
Don't know
can't
what it
promise
is.
the thing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all
We'll
good.
do our
We'll
best.
just- All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.